And we're live. Testing, testing. Today on Quality Time with Family Ties, we learn the meaning of life. Hey everybody, welcome to Quality Time with Family Ties. I am your only host, Paul Packler. Everyone's gone. As we close out this episode, this two-part episode of They Can't Take That Away From Me, Alex spends a lot of time monologuing, and so I figured, why the hell not? Why shouldn't I come on and just monologue at you for the next 45 minutes? So yeah, this is a pretty interesting episode. It's Season 7, Episode 20, They Can't Take That Away From Me, Part 2. As you remember last week, we had the Marty and Lauren love triangle thing that's happening, and this week we find out what happens. It's actually an interesting episode because they put thought into it, you guys. It's pretty crazy. They planned out like themes and things that happened in the first episode are paid off in the second episode, and the second episode had arguably a plot. It really didn't, but it had forward momentum-ish. So this might be one of the best two-part Family Ties episodes ever. If Corey were on right now, he would not agree with me at all. And if Scott were on, he would obviously agree with me. But I'm burying the lead. This episode is truly about the fact that Alex P. Keaton has graduated from college. He is the valedictorian of class of '89 at Leland College, and this has been a long time coming. We have a listener, Dana, who I think in season 2 or 3 maybe sent us what Alex's course load was during his college career. And I was like, oh, great, this is cool. So we can talk about this soon. Like, this will be a thing. Not realizing that, my God, he isn't going to graduate for the next 3.5 years of episodes. So I'm just going to read it verbatim of what she sent. And thank you so much, Dana, for years ago putting in all of this legwork and hard work to put this together for us. Alex P. Keaton's list of courses and extracurricular activities. From Harding High School, back in the old days, he was the salutatorian. Good God, this is why I apparently wasn't that. His coursework included such things as Intro to Economics, Calculus, Chemistry Honors, English, History. Extracurricular activities included Trivia Tournament, Coaching Girls Softball Team, the Young Republicans Club, the Young Entrepreneurs Club, Adler's Grocery / Shop a Lot, Harding Hurrah Newspaper, Harding High Radio Station, Yearbook Committee, and Prom Committee. And reading those back, I honestly have a little bit of some nostalgia of remembering those episodes. Now, Leland College. He was a BA in Economics and Business, a double major. He had the McKinley Fellowship. He's the valedictorian, much easier to say. The Wilson Award for Outstanding Undergraduate Research. His coursework included American History, Humanities course, Suicide Prevention Hotline, which was a psych credit, Developmental Psychology, American Government, English course, Macroeconomics, Microeconomics, Women's Studies course, Non-Euclidean Geometry course, Quantum Physics, Business ? Economics 101 Teaching Assistant, Basic Applied Economic Principles of Capitalism in the Post-Industrial Era Seminar, and a teaching assistant. And he also taught this class that Marty Brody was taking, sort of an intro to economics, I would say. His extracurricular college activities include Leland College Radio Station, Leland Parents Weekend Committee, Alpha Phi Epsilon Business Fraternity, Leland College Dance Company, Leland College Chess Team, Young Republicans Club, President of the Business Club, President of the Young Entrepreneurs Club, Psychology Study Volunteer, Harding Trust Bank intern, undergraduate economics researcher under Professor Lloyd Rhodes on cross-elasticity of demand, Department of Economics. And then an econometric analysis of the households and temporal allocation under additive preferences. I have no idea what that means. I don't even remember that. It's in bold. Dana, please tweet us and let us know what that last one means, because I just don't remember that. But as you can see, Alex P. Keaton has a very storied career. He has a great resume that's going to take him to Wall Street in New York. He'll be working at some investment bank before you know it. Yeah, for as much as he really didn't go to college in this entire series, he really seems to have done quite a bit, actually. This episode begins in the kitchen, and Lauren, is back from her 2-week excursion to Michigan, and she comes in the back door, just like everyone does. And her conference went well. Everyone in the family is there, except for Alex. And she says, "Where's Alex?" And the family apparently has been told about his feelings for Marty over the course of the past 2 weeks. A fortnight, if you will. And they ask how her conference went, and she says, "Oh, it was great. I had a great time. I really missed Alex, though." And everyone has no chill whatsoever. And they're just like, "Oh, well, oh, God, who's Alex? he doesn't have any other women that have been around." And then Andy, like a narc. But, we know from the past that Andy is very true, and he has empathy for other people. And so obviously, when everyone else is trying to lie to Lauren, he tells her the truth. Oh, he was with that other girl. Lauren apparently was told of Marty during some phone call or something. Alex had told her that he was tutoring this girl in his class, but did not obviously tell her the lengths and breadths of that relationship. So that happens. Everyone starts freaking out. Alex comes in, and everyone runs away. It's at this moment that Lauren and he say, "Hi, honey," and he says, "How was your conference?" And she says, "Oh, it was good, but I met this guy and we really hit it off." And then she shows him her Freud book, a collection of Freud's writings that this guy had written an inscription in. And he's like, "Lauren, it was so nice to meet you. P.S. I hate you." And she's like, "Oh, yeah, he actually is bipolar," or something. I don't know. But it was weird because it never comes up again. And why would she say that she met this guy and had this thing? It seems like that would have been a much more interesting way for the two of them to break up, that it was like a mutual, oh, neither of us really have the feelings that we used to think that we had, and we should talk about that. But they don't do that. They just let this go. The whole point of this is that this book is here amongst the other 3 books that will come into play later. Alex says, "Hey, do you want to go eat or something?" And she says, "No, let's just talk." And at this point, Alex starts hemming and hawing, and he's like, "Well, I'm tired. I don't really have a lot to say." And she's like, "Well, I can let you go." And she came, let's say, for all intents and purposes, from the airport. She comes to the Keaton home to say hello to her boyfriend. He comes in the door and then just gives her the, like, get the fuck out of here treatment. It was crazy. I didn't get it. And as she's getting up to leave, Alex says, "Wait, I want to be honest. In our relationship, honesty is the thing that we have with each other." Okay, whatever. And I wrote in big letters, "Oh no." And so he admits that he has developed feelings for Marty. And gang, this is 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks. And Courtney Cox is visibly upset and understandably upset. And he's trying to like backpedal, and he's trying to like diminish how serious this is or whatever. And she hits him with, "Do you love her?" Which, even if even if he had feelings for her, even if they were intimate, even if they started like dating before she got back from her trip over this 2 weeks, whatever. The "do you love her" question, I don't understand that. Like, they could have, like, the trust is broken whether or not he is in love with this person or not. But it's TV and it's the 80s, and just like the Star Wars prequels, love is this magical power that is the most important thing, more than any other part of human interactions. And Alex says that he's been having these problems for a few days, and then in a completely not reading the room correctly, just asks, "Are you all right?" like he's concerned about if she's hurt by this. He just hit her with a 2x4 in the head, and he's like, "Does it hurt?" And I just wrote in big letters, laughing. And she storms off, and she should. Alex cheated on her, is what this amounts to. Things happened very quickly in a rough and tumble way, and it's condensed because it's TV, but he's in the wrong. We should say this at the outset. He, with regard to Lauren, is in the wrong. Scene 2. Scene 2 happens in the cafeteria, which I think another love triangle scene might have happened in before. I can't recall the last time we used it. It was definitely used during the Russian chess tournament episode. But Alex and Marty are standing together, waiting to get food, and Marty says to the lunch lady, "Cecilia, I'm just going to have some yogurt." And Cecilia, who's this character actor, is like, "You're too skinny, Marty," with like a bunch of like character on it. It's like, whoa, I'm sorry, lunch lady. Am I paying you to give me the business of what my body health should be, or like, I don't know, whatever self-loathing is instilled by the lunch department at Leland College. And then Marty gives her a whole spiel about, "Oh, well, I'm not that hungry, and I don't have a lot of money." And then Alex is like, "Money? Whoa, that's my field of expertise. And plus, you've paid me already. I'll buy you lunch. It's fine. Get whatever you want." And so she orders the, like, you know, lobster dinner equivalent of, "Give me this and that and this and some Twinkies, too." She says, "Alex, I think we need to talk, so I'm going to go sit down." Because if you recall, the last time we saw them, they were kissing, but at the same time, it was awkward in as much as, amongst other things, what is the nature of their relationship? Are they actually going to start dating or not? This was not discussed in the end of the last episode. So she goes to sit down at some table off camera, and he's getting ready to get his food. And all of a sudden, who appears but Lauren, because she also eats lunch. So she comes in and she's like, "Hi, Cecilia, could I get yogurt?" And Cecilia, not missing a beat, says, "Well, I'll just put it on Alex's tab." She doesn't give her any of the business of body shaming. Take that for what you, I don't know what to make of that. And then Lauren says, "All right, Alex, you pick up your food. I'm going to go sit down because we need to talk." And so what's going to happen, folks? It's the same thing as when they had Daphne Zuniga from Spaceballs on, and it's two girls in the same room, and Alex has to, like, juggle their relationships. They're sitting right next to each other. And because Facebook and other social media didn't exist back then, they have no idea what each other looks like, whereas now they probably would. So they're sitting at tables right next to each other. Alex is flipping his shit, and he says, "Oh, this is like a bad episode of Love American Style," which is some sketch show or an anthology show from the late 60s, early 70s. I know nothing about it except that it was like a soft pilot for Happy Days. That Happy Days was actually, it was an anthology show, so, you know, just a bunch of different storylines all about love. And apparently Happy Days, the pilot, had something about that. Maybe like Richie wants to date, I don't know, who gives a shit. But that's the history of love American style. That's its whole thing. Both of the young ladies turn around and say, Alex, over here. And then they say, oh, no, it's you. And they're both very embarrassed and upset. And I'm glad that they're actually not fighting with each other, like in the cat fighting tropey type way, that they're both like, this is unfortunate. And they're both angry, or they're both annoyed, or they're both upset with Alex in their respective ways, but they don't start sniping at each other, which I thought was quite exciting coming from Family Ties. So they try to talk it out. Alex is standing between them. He tries to talk with Lauren and calm her down if possible, but why would he be able to? It's ridiculous. And then he says something, and Lauren's like, well, I'm done with this bullshit. Gets up with her yogurt that Alex got and throws it onto his chest. A+, she storms out. Great. I'm on board. Then Marty starts talking with Alex, and she's like, I'm uncomfortable. I'm going to go. And she gets up with her tray of food and accidentally walks into Alex. It's weird because she's not angry. Like, she's not doing it out of malice in any way. She just gets up and is stumbly, which I guess we've established at the beginning of episode 1, or part 1. She spills everything all over him, but then it's like very slow motion. It's very not well rehearsed or whatever. And then she takes her sandwich because she's like, well, I am still hungry, and leaves. Cecilia comes up, not to be outdone, and says, whoo, boy, Alex, have you ever seen Fatal Attraction? Which, I've not seen Fatal Attraction. I don't really care to see Fatal Attraction. Please, comment, tweet, text me, email us, qualitytimewithfamilyties@gmail.com. Should I see Fatal Attraction? I think it's probably pretty dated and dumb at this point, right? I don't know what it has to do with Marty, but blah. We go to scene 3, and it's the kitchen again, and the family are going to a movie. And they don't even mention what it is, which, I don't know, just say what it is. You've done this countless of times, Family Ties, where you say, hey, we're going to go see E.T. Hey, we're going to see A Hard Day's Night. Hey, you know, whatever. And Steven sees that Alex is upset, and he says, Alex, do you want me to skip the movie, stay with you, and we can talk what's going on with you? And Alex is like, no, you have fun. I'm going to stay here and think. And so he does. Steven leaves. And then the craziest fucking thing happens. In all of Family Ties? Close, maybe. This might be the most insane thing I've ever seen on this show. Alex is working on his valedictory speech, and all of a sudden, he gets up and he's like, ugh, gosh, thinking through all these problems of life and love. Boy, I wish I knew what to write for this speech. I wonder if the greatest minds of all time have had problems like my problems. And he looks at the books that are on the island of the kitchen, and he sees Shakespeare. Ha! Nothing but a bunch of pretentious guys in tights and a Freud book. And then he's like, well, I'm not going to look at that because, I don't know, he's repressed. And then Sartre, and he keeps pronouncing it really, he's like, Sartre. Like, that's the way that Michael J. Fox is saying, or Sartre. You're just like, calm down. Just say Sartre. It's fine. We're not faulting anybody here. And that's Jennifer's book. So, if you'll remember from last episode, Corey and I were very much like, what the hell is going on? Why is this Sartre B-plot with Jennifer being hammered into the ground? It's just, it doesn't mean anything. It has nothing really to do with the A-plot. And it's just so hammered into your head. Turns out, episode 2 of this is all about the meaning of life. Because Alex is graduating, he's scared of what his future holds for him. And so with that in mind, that B-plot from part 1 I take back some of my, this is so absurd and so not in keeping with other things that are happening in this episode. They were playing a long game, and kudos, Family Ties. You did it. So here's the insane stuff that happens. All of a sudden, in the corner where they used to have like the McGovern poster in the early days of Family Ties, Michael Gross appears dressed as Jean-Paul Sartre. Now, Jean-Paul Sartre was a very unattractive man, if I may. I have a picture. Let me show you. I'm going to show you, because this is me by myself, and Bryant can cut out the dead air. All right, here is Jean-Paul Sartre. I wrote a play once. I co-wrote a play once with a friend of mine, Chris Gilbert, and I wrote in a character for myself to play who was Jean-Paul Sartre. So my girlfriend, Nikki, got me this card. If go on YouTube, you can see this is Jean-Paul Sartre. It's very nice. And Stephen starts in... Jean-Paul Sartre as Stephen, or Stephen as Jean-Paul Sartre, says, with a, just a French accent that could melt paint, or I don't know, something. Let's start again. So Stephen Keaton as Jean-Paul Sartre, or Jean-Paul Sartre through Stephen Keaton or whatever, with a French accent that could strip paint off walls, starts in being like, Alex, the life and love are so absurd, and there's no meaning in the universe, and everyone is just trying to get through life because it's meaningless before they die. And Alex is like, whew, Jean-Paul Sartre, it's a pretty heavy Twinkie that you got there. And then all of a sudden, brrr, another. So like they're getting high tech. They're spending a lot of money on visual effects in this episode. Freud appears on the other side of the island, and it's Stephen Michael Gross again. And his accent, his German accent, is pure Dr. Strangelove. It's high-pitched. It's very weird. It doesn't sound necessarily German, but it does sound exactly like Peter Sellers in Dr. Strangelove. And he says, Alex, you're sexually repressed. And I wasn't listening to exactly what the logic was there. And then, boom, number 3, Shakespeare appears, and he quotes Hamlet and what he said about love in Hamlet to Alex, which, I don't know, gang, maybe, oh gosh, did Shakespeare write any plays about love, or sonnets about love, or, I don't know, comedies about love? No, he wrote Hamlet, a tragedy about revenge and murder. I mean, sure, there's quotes, and he maybe says the word love in it, but I don't know, gang, maybe include a different quote from Shakespeare. So the three of them go back and forth with Alex, and I don't know what the point of the scene is other than showing off special effects. Alex ultimately is like, ugh, love's exhausting. I should have gone to the movies. And everybody disappears. And his I should have gone to the movies is how we end the first act. Crazy. I don't even know what kind of an act out that is. And I don't know what kind of act out this is, because we'll be right back. And we're back. So, yeah, this is the first episode, to be honest, where I was like, oh boy, this show is ending. And our show is ending. And it just made me think back to how many episodes we've done, and my own graduating from college, and just I don't know. I like the way that they tied together this romantic love triangle where Alex is doubting his relationship with Lauren. Also, he's planning on moving to New York, and Lauren has never mentioned that she wants to go to New York, so this was definitely a point in their relationship that they were going to come to anyway, but it came to a head because of his feelings for and cheating with Marty. But yeah, you know, if you're graduating from college, these are the sorts of things that happen, especially if you're in a relationship. And yeah. So this is where the episode gets a little not great. We're in the hall where the graduation ceremony is going to take place. And there's a big banner above the stage that says Class of '89. And there is a grand piano over stage left, house right, right by the stage, that Marty is playing. And she's playing They Can't Take That Away From Me. Finally, look at this. Again, we said last episode, why did they title it this? And they didn't use the song once in the episode. They saved it for part 2. She's playing They Can't Take That Away From Me. And this is where shit gets weird. Alex starts having a voiceover monologue. So the second half of this episode has about 2/3 of it that is done in voiceover. And the actors are just standing there thinking. And in the show don't tell school of writing and television and screenplays and film, they just said, fuck it, we're going to do tell, don't show. And as an actor, I can't imagine what he and Lauren and Marty, because Marty also does a voiceover monologue thing too, that you would just be like, all right, I guess we're going to stand on stage today and just look wistfully as we time out the monologues that we recorded. Weird. So she's playing, and Alex is like, oh, Marty, I really like you. How did this happen? And then he does a Casablanca joke of, you know, of all the school classes in all the world, you had to walk into mine. And then he also says in a voiceover, as toward the end of the monologue, I'll never forget the time we spent together. And I guess he's trying to like let her down gently or whatevs. But I'll never forget the time we spent together. It was 2 weeks, Alex. I don't know. Like, yeah, you could have a whirlwind relationship or an affair or something really hot or exciting or the beginnings of something that could be turned into love. But, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just too jaded in my old age. Marty finishes the song, and Alex says, they can't take that away from me. And she's like, oh, hey, Broseph, I was just working on the songs for the graduation ceremony. He's like, are you all set? She says, well, I've been working on the pomp and circumstances. I got the pomp down, but I don't know. It was some stupid joke that I can't remember. And so she's like, Alex, listen, we need to talk. I really enjoyed the time that we spent together. And then she sort of repeats everything that he had just said in the monologue, in as much as this isn't going to work. She has 2 years of college to go. He's about to leave to move to New York. And so this is kind of pointless. And he's like, whoa, this is crazy you're saying this. And then all of a sudden, he starts going into voiceover again. And then she starts going into a voiceover. And he's like, ugh, this is terrible. And she goes, I hope he doesn't cry. And then he responds, I'm not crying. It's just something in my eyes, which reminds me of the Flight of the Conchords song, which is amazing. I'm not crying. Go on YouTube. It's great. It holds up. And so then they start having conversations. They like look at each other, and it's like the scene in Annie Hall with the back and forth voiceover that they're having on the roof. And they actually start like conversing through their thoughts. And so they're having a telepathic conversation in Family Ties. I don't know what that means. I don't know why they did it. I don't know why this was the payoff of the scene. It's just crazy. And it's a thing that actually happens. And so their monologues of voiceover and their dialogues of voiceover end. And then she's like, well, Alex, I'm going to go. Congratulations. I'll see you tonight. And then Alex gets a little bit too weird and like leans in to kiss her on the cheek. It was uncomfortable. It was gratuitous. She leaves, and then Alex goes over to the piano, sort of stumbly walk, and leans on the piano. He's like, God damn, what a shitty day so far. And all of a sudden, the second crazy-ass thing happens. There's a time fade through. I don't know what you would even call it, but like people start appearing, much like in the same special effects that we saw with the multiple Stevens. People start appearing, and they're setting up for the graduation ceremony, and there's people in their robes and people setting up the stage, and it just happens in these things. And then Lauren appears in the foreground, and Alex is like bumping around the table in different positions because time's passing. I don't know why they did this. I don't know why. It's so artsy compared to everything we've ever seen on this show. And then again, he starts with more monologues, and you're just like, we could have conversations happening right now. We don't have to keep doing this theatrical conceit, but we do. And he's like, Lauren, thinking, ugh, Lauren, it's been 2 years, and I loved you, and why have my feelings changed? And you're gorgeous and beautiful and smart and all the other things that you are, and I guess we just don't feel the same way about each other anymore. Well, you know, I'm going to New York, and you have a great career and life in front of you, and I know we're really breaking each other's hearts. And as he says that, the camera cuts over, and you see Courtney Cox standing there, standing amongst the tables or chairs with 3 tall, hot guys, and they're all laughing and flirting, and so you're like, I think Lauren's gonna do all right, Alex. Don't you worry 1 minute. The voiceover ends. Alex approaches Lauren, and he says, can we talk? And she's like, yeah, I guess. And they start to walk over, but the 3 guys follow. Haha, get it? And he's like, hey, idiots, get out of here. I need to talk to her. They do. And Lauren says that she's very hurt. And she doesn't understand how this happened, and she's spent the last few days just in a torment and mourning their relationship, and what did I do wrong, or what could have I done to change this? And in this scene, Courtney Cox starts to cry a little bit, and I've said before that I think that she's a terrible, terrible actor, Courtney Cox. But with her crying, and it's dumb to say because an actor cries that makes them a good actor. That's not how acting works. But it's proof in a certain capacity that an actor is able to like get in touch with the feelings and emotions of the text in a real way. That it's, you know, it's biological. You're crying. You have to feel something in order to make that happen. And she does. And so kudos, Courtney Cox. You did it. And so this scene is as fun to watch as actually being there to witness or take part in a breakup. So take that for what it's worth. It's miserable. It was terrible to watch. You're just sitting there, and it's pretty real in the way of them just both being unhappy and trying to get themselves dislodged from this particular situation that they're sitting in as quickly as possible, and they just want to say what they have to say to get out of it, and it's miserable. I've been through breakups. They're not fun for either party, even if you're the one breaking up. And Lauren admits that she didn't know why the allure of Marty. So she secretly, over the past couple days, went to a concert that Marty was playing at, or, you know, she was playing the piano at the cafeteria or something, and watched her and said, oh, and I brought some Rotten Tomatoes just in case. And Lauren says that she understands now that she's so artsy and bohemian and she's so good at the piano and all this stuff. And I don't know, Lauren, you didn't have to do that. I don't know. She's 22. Everybody's kids here. They're just kids. They don't know. And so for her to go and do that sort of like, I don't know, masochistic emotional torment to herself, it makes me sad for Lauren. Alex says, I can't be happy unless you're happy, which is both stupid and realistic in its stupidity. It's the sort of dumb thing that you say when you're just trying to make both of you feel better, but you're not the right person to be saying this. And this isn't the right time to be saying this, Alex. Just let this end mercifully. Lauren says that the relationship ending and them falling out of love with each other, it's not my fault, Lauren, and it's not your fault, Alex. When, no, it is Alex's fault. They're both feeling okay about it, but it is his fault. And I thought that was pretty shady for them to make it seem like, oh no, we just fell out of love. There were mitigating factors that caused this conversation to happen, and they happened over the past 2 weeks. So before that, their relationship was fine for all intents and purposes. It would have been interesting had we seen a devolution of their relationship, that over the course of season 7, Alex and Lauren start sniping at each other, or they just don't feel like hanging out as much, or they're bored with each other, or whatever. But they weren't playing that long of a game. Alex and Lauren hug, and then that's the end of this scene. So the next scene happens, and Alex is having trouble getting his robe on, and he's backstage of the same theater or auditorium that we were just in, and he starts blaming God for the trouble that he's having with his mortarboard and robe, which is weird because it's like he does this all the time where he blames God for things that are not, even if you believed in God, why would he give a shit about your robe, Alex? He's like, oh, what's next? Locusts or, I don't know, blood on the door? I forget what is in Exodus. And then he says, Dems in 92, which, oh, hey, it turns out Bill Clinton wins the presidency in 92. And then all hell breaks loose for the rest of our lives. Elise walks in, and her outfit is fucking awesome. She has this white dress on, but then it has like the old days in the season 1 when like Mallory and Jennifer and Elise, to a lesser degree, would wear the things that looked like they were from Little House on the Prairie. But this is like a hip version. It's like almost like a neck, but it's lacy, and then she's got a blue like blazer on type thing, and her hair's pulled back, and she just looks fucking awesome. She looks cool as hell, and she walks in. And she's like, Alex, you're having trouble dressing? And he's like, yeah. She's like, oh, you had a trouble dressing when you were a child, which we've never experienced before. She helps him put his tie on? I don't know. And then they look in the mirror, and Elise is tearing up that her first baby is now an adult, graduating from college and going off to take on the world and all of the misery that comes along with becoming an adult. And then I thought to myself at this point, as they're talking about life and growing up and his heartbreak at the situation as it is and not knowing what's next, why does Alex have a dressing room? Like, I get it. He's the valedictorian, but he's the only person in there. The teachers aren't in there. Why aren't the teachers? Like, why didn't he get dressed at home? And putting on a robe, you just put it over your head. And a hat, you just put on the hat. I don't know. But we needed this scene, and it needs to happen in this dressing room. All of a sudden, they're talking about this stuff, and she gives him a hug and a kiss. Mallory knocks on the door, and she's like, guys, come on, get your shit together. The show's about to start. We need you out here now, Alex. And he's like, oh, sorry, Mallory. Mom and I were just discussing the meaning of life. JK, JK. Mallory looks and thinks quickly, and then without missing a beat says, Oh, the meaning of life, that's easy. Be happy, try not to hurt people, and hope that you fall in love. And then she leaves. And this is the most galaxy brain moments of the entire series. The long game of Mallory is dumb as shit. They've paid it off with this moment that Mallory Keaton says the meaning of life. So, Corey, Scott, this is it, guys. This was the big payoff of every shitty, low-key misogynist Mallory's dumb thing pays off with her having the wisdom of the universe. And yeah, that's a good message. The hope that you fall in love thing is weird. I think be happy, try not to hurt people is enough. But whatever. Then there's more voiceover. We're in the new scene, and it's the ceremony's happening. Alex is up on stage. The teachers or professors are up on stage. Family's in the audience. Lauren's in the audience, also graduating. And Marty is over at the piano. And Alex is waxing philosophic about, whew, I did it. This is the end of the line. I'm graduating. I can't believe it. Life is a pretty sweet fruit, as Bruce McCullough on the Kids in the Hall said. And then he says, maybe Jennifer's right with Sartre and everything, that where he said, hell is other people. And then I'm like, oh no, this is like the most basic, dumb. Hell is other people. Au contraire, Jean-Paul Sartre, heaven can be other people too. And then he's like, because, it's as dumb as the monologue at the end of My Name is Alex, that like, we're social creatures and we need each other for all the hurt that we put each other through. At the end of the day, love is all you need. And so with that, the monologue ends, and he looks at Lauren, he looks at Marty, and then they announce, and now for the valedictory speech, Alex B. Keaton, and our young Alex Keaton smiles and stands, and that's the end of the episode. So, as far as an episode of Family Ties, as it's pulling in for a landing, I thought this was pretty good. I liked the fact that with this two-parter episode, they actually tried to say things, set things up and pay them off, have themes that they wanted to talk about and stuff like that. It wasn't, it didn't reinvent the wheel. It didn't invent the wheel. It didn't almost pre-invent the wheel. But it was consistent, and it did some weird shit and some interesting shit and good performances from Courtney Cox, and we got to have Marty, who is a great character for as much as they use her strangely at times. Yeah. Congratulations, Alex. You did it. You graduated college. Now you're going to go off and do cocaine and live literally the life of Bright Lights Big City that Michael J. Fox ended up also doing. I feel bittersweet right now. I wish that Corey and Scott were here to talk about Alex P. Keaton graduating from college, but at the same time, in a meta way, I'm kind of happy that it ended this way, that it kind of hits you like a gut shot of being like, oh shit, Alex is graduating. It seemed like it took so long, and in other ways it came up too quickly, much like when your little baby grows up and not just goes to college, but graduates from college. They also, I want to say, did some interesting stuff with, and great performance from Meredith Baxter Burney in this scene at the end, with the one time that she's talking with Alex, the two of them together. This is going to set up a dynamic and a theme that they're going to really play up in the series finale. And I liked, because I know that episode very well, I liked the way that this episode sort of starts the ball rolling for the conversations and conversations that they have in the series finale between Alex and Elise. I would recommend checking out this two-parter episode. They can't take that away from me. It's good. and there's enough hits that overpower the misses. Yeah, that's it. Brian, just cut out that little pause. So, folks, rate and review our show on iTunes. For questions and comments, email us at qualitytimewithfamilyties@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at QTWFT for updates, and you can follow each of us. I'm at Paul Packler, Scott is at Follow Jones, and Corey is at Corepep. You can also like us on Facebook, and we'd like to thank our host and producer, Barbara Dillon at Fanbase Press. Fanbase Press is a comic book publisher and an online community supporting creators and fans through daily reviews, interviews, and podcasts that span the pop culture spectrum. Fanbasepress.com. We'd like to thank Perry Adams, who beautifully performs Family Ties and our theme song Without Us. Check out her website, perryadams.com. We'd like to thank Bryant Dillon, who created our fantastic drawing and artwork, as well as edits our show. Bryant is the president and co-founder of Fanbase Press. Follow him on Twitter at Comic Book Slayer. And finally, Sean Foster, Fanbase Press's graphic designer, for designing our logo. Gang, we'll see you next week. Pomp and circumstance, it's the pompiest of circumstances. Pomp and the circumstances are the things that happen.